Perth preview. We've got Toby on coming off a pretty fat day yesterday at Bunbury, Toby. It was a nice little day from you there.
Yeah, I love Bunbury and I hate it at the same time. It's an evil place in the sense that you never know what it's going to dish up, but I always seem to be able to win there.
Yeah. I guess that's one of the good things about the extra products the Rant's got is it's not just Saturday only. There's a lot of Wednesday and out wide information that goes out to the channel.
And dirt, of
Bel-
course. Don't forget the dirt.
oh mate, you're obsessed with that stuff like fucking Marble Bar and whatnot, but you do beat the market and you're very profitable there. Uh, Belmont 8 meter rail, they haven't updated the track conditions for a couple of days. It suggests it's heavy. I would say it's not anywhere near that. What are you expecting from conditions on the day and track pattern?
Yeah, I'd suggest it to be a lot drier. That was a heavy 8 on Wednesday. When we raced there, they haven't updated it since because they're really professional. It's been no rain since, but also very little wind to sort of dry it out. But I'd still say it'll be a 6 on the day, maybe a 5, and yeah, definitely playing like a 5 by the end of the day would be my assumption at this stage. But we'll look at the times to try and really nail that in.
Mm.
Uh, Not a lot of wind tomorrow. If the rain had come a bit later and it was a drying track, I'd say maybe it'd be a bit harder to make ground, but most of the drying should be done. So I think it'll be pretty fair at
Mm.
this stage.
Race one over the 1600, weakest race of the day, 4-year-old and up, no Metro wins in the last year. Cruise to Victory's been knocked in. It's currently $2.45. Pray again, $5.50. Emerald Trader 6.50. Ginger Green 7. Special Sort 9. Arnie's Boys worth mentioning, I think, at $10, and then double figures the rest clearly. What do you think of this race?
Yeah, look, understandable that the money's come for Cruise to Victory. He absolutely pissed in the other day against the pattern to an extent. He was on the fence on a day where it was probably better to settle off it sort of 3 wide with cover. Not that there was a 3 wide line in that race, but he peeled off and was really dominant. They ran good time. He's a little bit of a query at a mile and doesn't get tempo here. He looks like he's probably going to have to be the one to take it up.
Mm.
If they get it in their head that they don't want to, they could end up fighting him because I don't really see anyone else that wants to take it off him. So I think he gets left alone out in front unless Serviceman can jump. He's kicked up before, but he hasn't been jumping for a while, and they'll probably still want to get down to the fence on Cruise to Victory, I think so. But he's very short now for a horse that's a little bit of a query at a mile against some seasoned campaigners who, although they don't like to win, they go good enough. So your Emerald Traders, your Arnie's Boys. Arnie's Boys was a really good return to racing the other day. He was probably suited to being three back the fence in that race. Sort of the first three were across the line with those first three along the fence and they got away from the rest. But for him to match it with a couple of sharper ones like King Cartel and My Hidden Universe, I thought that was a really good sign for him. He loves the mile, loves a bit of sting out, and loves Belmont. So he's a big price, but probably just can't see him winning because he doesn't like to do it. Apart from Cruise to Victory, it looks a pretty even race. Like Special Sort and Ginger Green were both a little bit unlucky in that West Speed final. Emerald Trader always finds a way to find bad luck. Prey again is not too dissimilar to Emerald Trader. He's got lurks, but he's got ability. Nero King again, another one. He has lurks, but he has ability.
Mm.
Allegro Sonata was, if it was a bit wetter, could make a real genuine case for her. She was really good on a heavy 8 2 starts ago, and last start just never saw daylight. Yeah, very even race behind Cruise to Victory, but he's very short now.
Yeah, I missed the 360. It went up. I think I got $3.20 about Cruise to Victory. It just completely monstered them the last start. And the query you raise about the distance is valid, but I think given the lack of tempo, it's going to have every opportunity to run the distance out. I guess given how much it's been knocked in now, I'm probably looking to try and make a book with Ginger Green and Arnie's Boy. I think they both get reasonable profiles and recent last start form that I don't think they're entitled to be sort of close to double figure odds. Race 2 for the 2-year-olds over 1400. Noah Quintelli is $2.70. the top bar $3.70, Lynn Star, and Shoot to Fame $7, double figures of rest. Interesting one with the map, and can they run out 1400 as 2-year-olds here, Toby?
Yeah, there's a couple that might sort of look to take up more prominent roles in this out to 1400. I think Noah Quintilly in the top bar come across, but I think from the lower gate this time, I think Cashflow will be keen to kick out and lead. I think that means the top bar sort of gets there first and then maybe takes the cover on Noah Quintilly. The rest can just file themselves back unless they want to sit through wide, no cover. The top bar was really good, charging across in a really fast run maiden at Pinjarra behind a horse that, while he didn't look at his best on the day, looks like being a sharp one in the future, Mohegan Ruler, and beat Kundal in the process, who's been a handy sort of 2-year-old for these class of race. Noah Quintilly led and got it pretty well its own way, 2 back at 1400, and just didn't really see it off. Might have needed that run to get it ready for it. Probably it was only second up, so being back to 12 was a tough win to like Elite Missile was 3 wide, no cover, but he's probably a better horse than her, and she toughed it out and was able to nose him out in a photo. Cashflow been unsuited in those 1,000-meter races behind a couple of really sharp ones in September, Born and Wind and the Lion. Wouldn't be surprised to see him improve if he could find the front. Probably would have preferred that it was 1,200 for him, but if he sees out the 1,400 and he is third up, looks a decent chance. Behind those, your others in the market, a Lynn Star, she was okay in a maiden, like an all-age maiden. Not sure how that stacks up versus these, and Lano looked like it'd need a lot further than 1,400 and probably another 6 to 8 months, but gets pike.
Well, I will say, before we jumped on, I asked Toby to be particularly vague with this race because he's got one of the biggest overlays I've just about ever seen on the early assessment. So if you want that information, Toby's got the early prices, mounting Adnal, and as we mentioned at the start, he bets everywhere. He's a full-time professional that bets anywhere in WA, so there should be a link in this video if you want that information. Race 3 over the 1,200, rapid tempo. I've got a lot of leaders and a few drawn out wide that clearly want to go forward as well. Just a bit of press, $3.80, Hostile Talk and Prospectus Pick, $5.50. Inside Success, similar quote, Son of the Boss, $7.50, close to double figures of rest.
Yeah, plenty of speed. I think Inside Success first up at 1,200. He's probably maybe going to be getting out over a bit further this prep. I thought he would sit to something. I didn't think he'd sit to Hayfield Boomer. I think Hayfield Boomer would want the front, but I think they'd be smart enough to at least hold him out early because he's not going to take them into the race. I didn't think if he had to cop the pressure that he will cop after that point. So I thought Son of the Boss could find the front in this, although they sometimes try riding him with a sit, but he did win with the sit and then they led with him the next start anyway. So I'm hoping they just go the same again here. He was really good last prep, beating Beccalotti Triple J, 2 back, and then last start was only beaten by Rope Them In Generosity. That's pretty good form for a race like this. Braden Garth goes on to bring the weight down a little bit. Thought if he could find the fence, he could give a side, just a bit of press. Drawn 8 looks sticky, but it also helps that he's drawn still underneath King Cartel and Prospectus Pick, who might come across looking for spots. So there could be, if he came out semi-positive, there could be a spot open up where he could just follow and then take the cover on one of those. He hasn't quite lived up to the hype yet, but I do still think he's capable of it once he learns what he's doing. He still just hasn't got it quite right yet. Prospectus Pick, I'm still devastated about last start when he looked to have the race absolutely shot to bits and then just would not go straight up the straight.
How did he get beat, seriously?
Wobbled about 7 lanes up and got beat on the line. That was, yeah, still devastated about that one. This just looks a much less suitable setup for him, drawn the widest in a race full of speed back to 12. Back to 12, I think, might help at this stage, but the setup isn't great for him. Inside Success is a horse I've got a lot of time for, but I wanted to see more from that trial, given the horses behind him were midweek types.
Yep.
He might produce it on race day, but in a race that may not be what he's ready for first up, I'll just watch him for deeper into the prep. But I've got plenty of time for him, and yeah, really interesting if you can get these races with lots of speed, and then people decide they're going to go back. So be really interesting to see what happens early, but at this stage, I'll just be waiting and seeing.
It's an interesting point when there's so much speed drawn outside gates. It can potentially suck tempo out of the race because it's who's going to go forward, and it's virtual suicide from some of them that have drawn the absolute widest gates. So yeah, that's a very crucial point, I think, there. Race 4 of the 1400, 78 plus. I had Kevin in my mind when I was doing this race. He's got a few of his favourites in this one. Younger Lass, $2.80, Two Darty, and Triple J 480, Sapphire Street 750, Alay $8. Starry Nights is next place in the market, but double figures for them. What did you expect here? I had 3 leaders, Benji's, Triple J, and Alay.
I thought Triple J would cross Benji's. Not 100% convinced. It probably depends on how hard Benji's wants to kick up. He's not the fastest horse out, and he's got the apprentice going on. He's and he can have his lurks at times. So thinking Triple J gets around him, and then Alay moves to OSL. Younger Lass probably one out, one back. And then sort of the rest of them file back. I thought that Two Darty was the best run. I'm going to think of the Younger Lass or the Triple J race as the premium form reference, which the 3 favourites come through. I thought Two Darty was the best run, but gets the worst setup here out of those 3, given he'll have to be right back or potentially have to be right back on what could be not a slow tempo. I don't think Triple J will want to go slow, but it won't be a fast tempo like it was last start. Thought Triple J was good from the breeze to win that. Younger Lass perhaps was a bit flat second up. She may be able to explode again here, but I think with the softer lead, if the leaders look to be going okay earlier, I think Triple J at the price is probably the way I would lean at the moment.
Yep.
Just want to see with a couple of things. If they're making good ground, I could back Two Darty easily because I really like him as a horse, but just looks an unideal setup. And Younger Lass has proved she's quality, and the Grant Alana Williams team seem they're never going bad, but they seem to be going even better than normal at the moment. So I think the winner comes from those 3, but not entirely sold on having a bet on any of them at this stage.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think the 2 of the 3 that go forward are likely to win the race. Alay and Triple J are the ones I've sided with and backed, especially early when they went up. What do they go up? $14 to come right back. That was a bit mad, but yeah, it's an interesting race, and I think if you nail the map, you nail the race. Race 5 over 1400. Objectify $3.20. Bear second up with Pike $3.60. Dr. J $5. Double figures the rest. How did you see this one?
Interesting little race, given the late scratching of Babire last start after he looked quite flat first up, and then the money still came for him second up, which I think was a sign. And then he got scratched when he presented with a bit of blood in one nostril. They sent him back to trials. Trialed really well this Monday gone. I like that they've done that. They've taken him to Belmont, which they don't normally do, just to get him back to the races on the 5-day backup. And he was really good. Like, Songa is a good enough horse, and he's a decent horse for trials, and he picked him up under little pressure, thinking he can lob a pretty prominent spot because he jumped in his trial. But again, there are still those queries on him after that really flat run, but the signs say that he probably will be producing second up. Objectify, she was unlucky in that 3-year-old plate that she contested last start as a short price favourite. Not entirely convinced that she wins if she gets out earlier. She just didn't look to be traveling as well as she can. Bigger field here, drawn 11. She can just get further back and not be used early and with a bit of tempo on, which they'll be probably just moderate. I know Hibiscus Lady looks the leader again, but I know that she's steadfast on not wanting to lead with her, so could leave it open to even Babire finding the front and then Hibiscus Lady rating outside it, or a horse like a Great Demon or an Advanced have been going forward. They've gone forward in the past and or gone forward this prep with Advanced. Dr. J was perhaps a little disappointing last start. The money's come again. I still think he might go all right, but just was a little bit disappointing last start. Thought Ablo would have gone straight past him with clear room, and he's a big price. Probably gets the run he wants drawn out here. But I think if the best of Babiro rocks up and gets a nice run on speed, I think he'd be going pretty close here. But I'm a big Objectify fan, so she can bounce back, and she wouldn't be here if she wasn't right. She could go close, but Patton and maybe the yard for Objectify will play a part here, I'd say.
Well, it's very interesting. You've got two horses under $4 and none of them are proven at this trip. Do you think Babire has to lead or sit in the first three to win this race?
No, it doesn't have to, but I think given the potential lack of tempo and given he's got the soft gate, you might as well try and get a real positive head start on your Objectifies. Like you don't want to be back with Objectify. You might out sprint her, but if you can be closer and still show the same turn of foot, you don't need to.
It's got a really sharp turn of foot, Objectify. I'm not sure you want to be in that battle. Yeah, I'd expect they're really very positive over this trip and they go forward. Race 6 over the 1600. Relatively flat market here. Wango Award and Sentimental Hero and Playhouse Patron, all $5.50. Falcon Trader, Count the Sessions, 9s. Then you've got a few in behind that are not that far into the double figures. How did you see this race?
I've found this race genuinely impossible. I like to do my markets to 90%, and I started out at about 115 and thought, how the fuck am I going to work this? And just sort of tried to get it down to 100 so I could send out markets for my sheets, but it certainly instantly became a non-betting race. I think Savage One leads. Falcon Prince probably wants to hold OSL with the shades on back in trip. The two favourites are last start winners with apprentices going on that probably neither of them really strike me as apprentice horses in Sentimental Hero and Playhouse Patron. And Sentimental Hero's probably proved it before when he's had apprentices go on just to struggled a bit more. Wango Award was very visually impressive, but probably sectionally wasn't as good. And the format of that race hasn't really held up. So I think she might be, the only opinion I'd have is that she might be a little bit of a hole in the market. But again, she's not a big hole because she's still only $5.50. Count the Sessions was unlucky behind Playhouse Patron. Still not 100% convinced, even if he comes out wider, that he goes past him, but he certainly gets closer. Fine Touch, probably a bit disappointing first up, but she's been placed in a Group 3. Very hard race that I won't be betting into unless there's a really significant pattern that I want to tune into, which I doubt there will be.
Yeah, I'd love to know what they're doing with Iowa first up from that gate. Like it's
why has Simon Miller been sent to Stayer? I don't get it.
Completely bizarre.
It's the second coming of Ros Martini.
1,000 or 1,400 is his sweet spot. I'm not sure why they've sent it out. I guess staying ranks in WA are just that weak. That if
they are weak, but there's not the person to send a stayer to, I don't think.
No, it's not. No, there's some connections there.
Derby Racing obviously wanted to send a horse over. They'd had a bit of back and forth over the Quokka because Overpass stayed in his stables, but like they've got plenty of stays. Yes. Sprinters, send a sprinter.
Yeah, well, maybe there's a connection there. Race 7 over the 1,000 meters, and this is again a quite a flat market. King's Honor $5.50, Salt Lake Shake and Bonnie Ladd 650, Invincible Ruby 7s, Copre Minia after the last start win $8, and Ballbeck also $8. Very flat market. They've not really shown their hand early in betting. They've got a reasonably strong tempo. Toby, what are you saying?
Yeah, there's not too many horses that'll go forward, but the ones that will all want to be there. I think, even regardless of that, in these 1,000-meter races, you just want to be on speed. And I think if Bolbeck can kick through, I'm not 100% convinced he can, but I think he goes all right. And I think he's pretty tough. Salt Lake Shaker definitely need the fence to win. That trial looked like it should have won easy. And another one of his that led like that did win easy. So I thought that was probably disappointing to an extent. Born to Talk, I think, is more conservative today. Maybe he comes out early and then looks to take a trail on something. King's Honor, probably back into this. Gray gets ridden more aggressively, but he may get stuck 3 wide, but he may also get cover on Golden Fighter, who is an on-speed horse that may look to come across from the widest gate of all. A couple of your back markers that are the better chances are drawn real wide as well in a big field. I think that takes them right out of it. And Bonnie Ladd and Dreamers Never Die. Invincible Ruby and Capre Omnia are the back markers where if they do really overcook it, and they have to do that in these 1,000-meter races to win from behind, is Capre Omnia has been really consistent. Probably would like it to have been a bit wetter. Invincible Ruby, same, probably would have liked it to have been a bit wetter, but they were both really good last start against each other. Invincible Ruby from a bit further back, and Capre Omnia having to duck and weave. But I don't mind what Bolbeck's been doing in Kalgoorlie this prep, and I think if he can lead, he can really give us sight. I think he's quite tough, but I also thought I'd get longer. I thought he'd be longer in the market, but be interesting what the late market does do.
Yeah, well, again, they haven't really shown their hand early on this race. Expect you might get better on a couple late. Race 8, also over the 1,000, but this is the Beaufort Stakes. The listed race of the day: Man Crush $4, Minx Moment $4.80, Nero Dio $5.50, Ghost Who Walks 7s, Bayezid $9, double figures the rest, and another one with really rapid tempo.
Yeah, they call it the Beaufort for now, but one day I hope it is renamed the Nero Dio Stakes. He's long been a favourite of mine. He's won this race 2 times, was desperately unlucky last year. For my heart, I'd love to see him win again and really push a case to have it renamed. He's a marvel, Nero Dio, and he's 6 from 7 at the Belmont 1,000.
Track and distance are unbelievable.
Says it all, but that is, you can't really consider it track and distance anymore, given it's a different circuit.
Yeah, they changed it. Yeah, you're
right. But for the purposes of this exercise, we'll say it is, and really try and push our case to have the race renamed, because I think he deserves it. He was desperately unlucky last year. He's 8 now, but his trials were probably as good as ever. Ghost Who Walks maybe tried a little bit better, but he'll get a map advantage on Ghost Who Walks. Now, to talk about those more in the market, Minsk Moment has been trolling the house down, but just probably isn't a 1,000-meter horse, and I'm big on my 1,000-meter horses in 1,000-meter races. He's also had corrective throat surgery. He could get shuffled a long way back with the tempo. Man Crush, if he drew to lead, would be able to make a really good case for him. He sometimes doesn't step, and Bayezid sometimes doesn't step. So if Bayezid didn't step and he got straight around him, it'd almost be really game on and close to game over. He's such a dynamic horse leading against the fence. Not that he can't do it from the breeze, but he's just better from in front. Multinational, I thought was impossible at 1,000. But there's been money for him, so maybe I'm wrong. Sophia's Symphony is a sharp enough horse on her day, but this just looks a little bit too rushed for her. But I know they've been targeting it, and the lane stable's going good. But Chris elects to ride Man Crush over her. Ghost Who Walks won this race last year when Nero Dio was unlucky. Draw hurts, but he's proven himself now that he is a genuine black type sprinter. Trolled up nicely without the shades. I think if Man Crush can't lead up, I think one of Nero Dio and Ghost Who Walks go very close to winning it, even though they'll be a bit further back. There should be really good tempo between Man Crush, Basie, and Pulley. None of them will want to back out. So I'm thinking Nero Dio can be probably close enough in the 3-wide line and pinch it.
Shit, I think you've convinced me to have at least a monkey on Nero Dio now. I haven't done the form on the race, but like I agree with you. 1,000-meter horses win 1,000-meter races, and it's also fresh up land as well, and it gets both of those. The other additional tick, I guess, in its favour is that Colonel Reeves. That is just an awesome reference point for a race like this. Like that form holds up year on year. The only thing I haven't done, clearly because I haven't done the race, is the trials. Did you watch the trials?
Yeah, of course. They were solid. He's trialled better in the past in previous years, but he's probably
They're not key at 1,000 meters though. You don't have to
yeah.
be fit, but yeah, if it's an additional tick, I guess that's a reason to go again. Race 9 over the 1,200, relatively weak race for the 66 plus. Angel uncovered $4, Boots Like Bruce 6, Ponyo 6, Duchess of Gossip 8, Noteworthy $10, double figures the rest. How did you see this race run?
Interesting little race. Boots Like Bruce looks to kick through from the inside. He spent a month between runs after rolling all the way off the track. It was the only start in his life where he hadn't worn the tongue tie, and it goes straight back on. So thinking that if you want to look for a reason that he rolled all the way, like he's rolled all the way out before, but probably not that bad.
It's a lot
I
of gear
think.
changes, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Tongue
Oh,
tie on,
they've
visors
also gone the
off,
winkers for the
winkers
visors.
first
Yeah,
time. It's a bit scary.
trying something different.
Yeah.
But he's pretty tough in front, so he's a hard nut to crack. But Angel Undercover has been fairly well found. Sort of was all on the tab touch markets that went up first. She looks a sharp filly. She's beaten Woburn Gold. She's beaten All Play and Shell Bell. And then last start in this grade, in a small field, she found all the bad luck she could and still finished close up. She tuned up with a recent trial behind a winner in stablemate Iberian Siren, held up and then flashed late to grab third. Stable's going well. She has to get a fair way back, but there should be enough tempo with Boots Like Bruce. He probably doesn't cop too much pressure, but he will roll along. So Ponyo can position close up. She trialled. She's probably capable of trolling better than that. I didn't think she was capable of doing some of the things she did last prep, like placing in a 72 plus over 1,400 to Aztec Ruler. She gets Pike in the last, Grant Alana Williams, so I've already said her going really well at the moment. Duchess of Gossip, if you told me she was going to be in a race like this 6 months ago, I'd be all over her, but she just hasn't quite lived up to the hype.
Misses a start too often, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. She just doesn't jump. And there's some horses like that. They just don't jump. But she's drawn out, so it shouldn't matter too much. She can probably fly across and end up OSL. Doesn't look like there'll be anyone too desperate to hold her out if she gets there quick enough. Vampy at Play's been going all right. Noteworthy's been going all right. Noteworthy probably would like it a little bit wetter and perhaps over 13. Yeah, looks a race where you can see what the track's doing. If it's leaders, you could back Boots Like Bruce, even if they try to ride it other horses different to put the pressure, like try and get there. I think he'd hold them and he cops pressure well. Otherwise, if it's back markers, you could back, an Angel Undercover or something like that. But at the moment, I'm just waiting and seeing.
Well, I'm waiting and seeing as well because Angel Undercover could be one of my better bets on the day, but I'd need confirmation of track pattern and your tick from the yard. I think this horse has got links on this field, but I'd really need to see it dialed in given the likely settling position.
In previous prep, she's only been a fairly lightly framed horse. It'd be interesting if based on the trial, I don't think she's come back too much, sort of more filled out. But if she has, that'd be another really big tick. I think she's just sort of filled out as a racehorse.
Beautiful. Well, that information will be in the channel. Toby's got early price assessments, mounting yard mail, and just sends out bets galore through the week. He doesn't sleep. So
No, I don't sleep, eat, or drink.
Yeah. Just, if you want access to that information, there should be a link in this video. There'll be we did a Melbourne and Brisbane preview, which should be out now, and there's a Sydney preview show, which should be up by the time this video goes up. So appreciate that, Toby, and good luck.
Thanks, mate. I'll need it.